You want an investment edge, but all you hear is noise, hype, and half-truths. Every signal is solid information, but only if you can see the bigger picture. This is where the Quasar magic happens. Weather, charts, news, all financial signals, funneled into a single dashboard. Data alone isn't enough. Quasar Markets turns it into energy, sharp, clear, precise. Optimize with Quasar Markets today. Your edge when investing.
Good morning, everybody. Quasar Markets Live. How are you this morning? It is earnings season. Howard will be here a little bit. He's still out a little bit. We'll see him in just a few minutes. But right now, we are pushing here a little bit. I do expect to see a couple things here this morning. Opening bell here in about 28 minutes. As we are looking at silver at a 14-year high. Look, gold dropping 34.17. Silver went over the 40 handle here not too long ago. So it is unbelievable where we're at right now with silver pushing higher. I know that earlier today it did the move as we switch over. But there is some selling right now in the silver market, 39, 30, 33, something like that right now. So at a 14-year high. Now seeing that the CFO of Thermo Fisher, that's TMO, he will be retiring as well. I do expect a lot of things happening this morning. This is going to be one of those mornings where we normally think it's going to be a quiet summer thing, but it looks like we're going to see some bouncy, some chop. I'm looking at the markets pretty clearly here today. Obviously at the market close today, we'll have Tesla and Google. I don't expect Tesla to have good numbers today. We saw those numbers out of China, really bad, right? We saw the numbers on Google starting to come in with search engines slipping. We've said that for a while now. I don't expect this market to be healthy come Friday. So I want everybody here to be prepared. I am now going to make a big purchase this morning on VXX. I think that's something I said I've been doing, but today is when I go big on VXX. I have been in the background pretty much buying VXX. I'm pretty heavy, but today is where I go full boat. Something is in the water here, and it's getting nasty. We just heard from the president talking about the Japan deal, 15% on them. Guess who pays that bill? Not them, us. They're just going to raise prices. It's all there is to it on that. Now, I understand that the Japanese are going to put a $500 million investment in the United States. $500 billion, $500 trillion, doesn't really matter because it never pans out. So it looks like we're going to have a rough morning here, but I'm hoping that we're okay coming in this, but I am preparing now. This is the end of it for me. But those of you who know, I don't bang the table very often unless I feel like something is in the water. Yesterday, I was on Wolf Spaces. Great show. If you don't listen to that, you should, because there's some great names in there that giving some good. And we will have Michael Cow coming in the show here in the next week or two. Looking forward to that too as well. So we have a lot to talk about this morning. I think the first thing we need to talk about is Bitcoin holding here at 118.2. Last night I got to 120 again, and down she went. I think there's some sellers at 120. I think there's some big numbers up there at 120 that are trying to sell quietly and get out. Maybe some limit orders up there. It's ticked now down 300 here. Ticked down 300 a little bit. Looks like a little bit of selling here as looks like 10-year now 4.386. Ticked down 257 now. Advanced decline here now, positive by about 1900. So there's a balance here a little bit, and that balance is going to get out of whack, I think, at some point, especially tonight. If earnings just don't, if that, shall we say, guidance isn't as good as we expect it to be. And I think that's the key. Any of these companies can beat on earnings because they've lowered the bar so much. I don't think that's the question. The question is whether or not that they can keep that up. So I don't think the case is, I know that a lot of people are saying, oh, that I'm being willy-nilly. If you remember back in April when the market started to fall back and I bought heavily, that's why I was telling that, right, is that when the push here is happening, there's no liquidity to the top side, right? You're seeing that right in the Bitcoin. Bitcoin saying, look, the top for us is 120. Great. So where's the top in NASDAQ? Where's the top in the SPOOs? To me, I think a top is being put in right now. Let me tell you, there's a couple things that I've said this yesterday on the show, that when I look at the markets and macro, again, I say this every once in a while. So those of you who are new listening in, I'm telling you too as well. Anything that precedes a recession or precedes bad numbers is two things. The first thing is credit. When credit fails, there's a problem, right? We have way too many people on margin in the markets, and that'll get pulled. That alone is a big tell sign. The second thing that I'm seeing now is actual loans themselves, credit actual loans, and that is cars, homes, bigger pictures, your credit card, and the delinquencies are at an all-time high. This doom spinning that we've seen over the last 2 months again is now hit a wall, and they've got to pay those bills, and they're not able to. Cash is running out very fast now, and we're starting to see that now. So folks, I'm telling you right now, be careful out there, because I'm not seeing it. And when I'm not seeing the markets, I can tell you right then and right there that you need to be careful, because it's going to happen. I'm going to pull up the Qs here this morning. I'm going to keep it on this morning as we go into these markets this morning. There we go. Hopefully you can see this. There we go. You can see where I've talked about it. This is the Q here, and this is the linear regression and the Andrews pitchfork all at the same time. I combine the two, and you can see what we've broken out. It just can't seem to get up there, right? These markets here are very, very frothy. This is the day chart here. I'll pull up a 1 hour chart, and it's already begun. And I'm going to hear a lot of squawking out there saying, "Oh, well, the markets are good. The markets are good. We've got a business president." Yeah, okay. But it's not equating into Main Street, right? So when I see those two things not converging correctly, that does bother me. And I am starting to put some bigger positions on the VXX. Now, I do understand the end of the month. I get all that we could have some little bit of contango, and is an issue there. I'm gonna reset to see where we're at. But to be honest with you, I'm very nervous for these markets. And when I get this nervous, and I haven't pounded the table yet, I'm holding my fist up, but I'm not pounding the table yet. You saw it yesterday, right? Middle of nowhere in the morning, kaboom! The markets just fell, kaboom. Why? Some news happened, and then the buy the dip mentality was working in there, right? And it was still going, and because of that, that was a concern, right? So when I look at that concern of people, that means that the liquidity ends up being the bigger people, right? The markets are being moved around by the JP Morgans and Goldman Sachs that are getting out of the markets. Also, I want to give you another piece that right now is happening at the highest rate too, is insider selling. These are companies that have these CEOs and people that are on the inside of the companies are selling at the fastest rate ever, most ever. Not time like another time ever. So they know something, right? And these recession cycles haven't really hit us yet. So I'm telling everybody to be careful out there. I'm not telling you what to do, buy or sell. We don't do that here. But I'm telling you, be smart about this. Don't go out there and go bet your mom and dad, grandma's money on NVIDIA and meme coins, right? If you were sitting here with us, with Howard and myself, we were buying NVIDIA at 105 and under 100. Today it's at 160, right? That's what I'm saying to you. That's a 60% run. I mean, if I told you that your stock's going to go to 60% up, what are you going to do, right? We're at 168.87 on NVIDIA. Yesterday it fell 3% when the market didn't even fall through. Actually, NVIDIA was against the market, right? Because the market was actually going up. NVIDIA was going down. So the markets are holding here. And the Mag 7, as we say, has not been holding the markets up. So if I look at NVIDIA, let's pull up NVIDIA. Here's NVIDIA for you. Look at that. This is an hour chart yesterday. Look at that. Look at that sell. That's what I'm talking about. That right here. Look at that. Look at this big gap. It tried to fill the gap. Didn't fill it. Right? Didn't fill the gap. on the hour chart. So this is that rounding thing that I like. The Charlie Brown head, I guess people are calling it the meme coins, is Trump now just says Fed board should act, says that our rates should be 3 points lower than they are. 3 points. If that's the case, folks, if they want to lower rates that much, then that's a recession. Okay, just making it very clear. That's a recession talk. That's not, oh, let's fix the housing market by lowering rates. That's not, let's lower rates. That's lower rates because people can't afford things. So that's a problem. I think that's, and I'm, for one, am all about lowering rates because I think we should, but not at that speed, right? That's a crash course in bad economics. All right. And I think you're going to start seeing Scott Bessent talk about needing lower rates. He's not saying 3% or, dropping 3 complete basis points. Whew. But now you're seeing 4.372 now in the 10-year, and the tick now is flat on the day. So I think we're trying to hold the markets up. That's not how a market should be held up. Market should be held up on fundamentals. And then on top of that, you invest because the mispricing of pricing, because you think in the future the stock's going to go higher or lower because based on certain factors. And yesterday I heard from most places that some people are thinking that the reason NVIDIA should go higher is because AI is in the first inning. I agree with that. AI is in the first inning. AI is overcooked. I remember during the .com bubble that .com was in the first inning. Well, we're like in the third and fourth inning now of .com, right? But everything was overcooked. There's a lot of companies out there that were literally just being out there because they were .com and they didn't know what to do with the .com. They didn't understand how it worked, and those companies fell apart. Oh, really? You don't believe me? AOL, MCI. I can keep going if you'd like. Netscape. I can keep going. Pets.com. These companies were really exciting because that was the company that was going to change the world. Pets.com was going to change the world. It was great. Remember the sock puppet? Those of you who don't, maybe not. Remember a small company called Google and Amazon? Yep, because they weren't around. Because they came later, right? Facebook was not in the .com era, right? They were after that. So, when you look at those companies, they weren't the major companies and the players back then, right? Microsoft was, and Apple was before Apple went bankrupt. Oh, Apple never went bankrupt. Yeah, it did twice. Mr. Bill Gates bailed them out. Look it up. If you don't remember, that's old. I mean, we're old school here now. Bill Gates bailed them out, right? So it's not always about what happens in the past. It's always about what's happening in the future and where we are right now in regards to AI. And AI, I still think we're not even in the batter's not even in the batter's box now. We're just talking about AI. When some of them are practicing on AI, right? What we're building here, General Dynamics CEO says initial deliveries of their G800 jets will be made in Q3 of this year. Expect to deliver about 1,300 jets this year, GD. We talked about that yesterday, actually, if you remember correctly. Howard asked me about these stocks here, and there you go. There you go. Sorry about that. I got too many screens running at the same time, by the way. What's that guy doing? Yeah. Okay. The World Court in The Hague says greenhouse gas emission are unequivocally caused by human activities and have cross-border effects. The reading is still going on. That could have serious complications around the world here. There you go. All right. I am paying attention to one stock again today, and that's Hood. I do like what they're doing, but they might have also got over the skis as well. We'll see. You can see that drop in the hour chart from 112 down to under 100, and that happened in just a matter of days, and they've kind of gotten back to where they are now. If you can see here, it also happened back in July. There you go, kaboom, kaboom. And we can probably go back even further. You can see where it happens over and over again, where it's always a day and a half. And then let's pull up a daily chart there for you. This is what I'm seeing right now, this big red sell signal on the daily chart. So I don't think that we're done in the selling of Hood. I think if you're pulling up your charts, you're looking at your charts, I think we could get back to about $90 a share, something around here. We still have a small gap here, right around 84. Will it get back there? I don't know. I don't think so, but I am preparing for it. All right. Any questions out there? Any stocks you guys want to look at? Let me know. Also, clearly asking you right now to repost this out there. Let me know you reposted. I'll put you up here. You got any questions? Put it in here. I'll put it up. I'll put you up here on the board, and we'll talk. But right now, it looks like 65.02 right now on oil. Another recession signal. These recession signals are popping up everywhere. This is not some cracks in the armor here now in the economy. It's getting worse and worse. And I'm telling people, I don't want to be people crying and say, well, I didn't know. You didn't tell me, Big Beat. You're supposed to be telling me all these things. Well, I am. I'm telling you. Things are happening. And the numbers are showing that. And oh, well, but AI is going to fix everything. Well, yeah, okay. I do believe that. I'm king of AI. I get it, right? But it ain't going to fix everything. It's not going to fix that college kid who can't get a job right now, right? It's not going to fix the family of 5 and 6 that can't pay their mortgage, right? The number of cars coming back. We know that a lot of cars were sold in the last. General Motors told you that, but General Motors told you they didn't give you good guidance. Guess what happened to General Motors stock? Pull it up. There's what happened to General Motors stock yesterday when they had the bad guidance. These companies are telling you, right? And if you're out there just buying willy-nilly and buying the dips because that's what you're supposed to do, there you go. Reuters report says OpenAI and xAI are seeking additional capital. Why? Because they need it, right? Capital is really hard to come by right now. And people are getting really quiet about their capital. So we're also seeing that too as well. When you see private equity also starting to drain up a little bit, that's also an interesting situation too. But for me, when you're now seeing all these little cracks in the wall and you're seeing the numbers, who's going to put their finger in the dye? I'm not going to do it. I'm gonna be on the right side of this. I'm gonna be short this market. I'm not gonna be long. Now I have my own long-term portfolios. We all know that, and we'll keep those, and nothing will change there. And I will add to them when the market falls. And guess what? I'll add to it when my VXX. I'll add to it when my shorts pay off, which they are. I'm up 69% in the last 3 months. How that happened? Well, I didn't even use options, by the way. Right now, options markets are willy-nilly right now. There's a lot of great options players out there, and I've been doing options for 34 years. But right now, the options market doesn't make any sense to me. It's zero DTE heaven, and that's okay. I'm not for the zero DTEs, but if that's what you want, that's your instrument of choice. Okay, great. But I wouldn't be playing it right now. Right? Why? Because right now you don't even know what's going to happen. Trump just tweeted lower rates by 3 basis points. 300 basis points. What? I mean, these are crazy talks, right? So you don't really know what's happening. And when you look at it and you say, okay, well, General Dynamics is going to deliver a bunch of planes, but they give bad guidance. All right. Well, you see General Motors had great sales, but they give bad guidance. Pull up a daily chart, see what happened last time they did that. It wasn't just a one-day thing. 1, 2, 3. It was like a whole month of selling in General Motors, right? Go Ford. We'll talk about Ford. Look, there you go. Remember when Ford was down under $9? I was like, that's crazy. The company's worth more than that. The company's worth at least 10 breakup value. So that was stupid, right? Fundamentals came into play. It wasn't my charts. Fundamentals came into play. The breakup value of Ford we know it's a little over 10 right now, and so we know where we're at, right? But look here, it couldn't get up. All right, big numbers today. We're expecting Tesla, right? All right, see my charts? I know how to use charts, and there they are, right? These charts are the same. I haven't moved the numbers. I haven't moved the lines. I haven't done anything with them. I've kept them the same. There they are, right? And they're still saying the same thing, right? That we're seeing lower highs and higher lows. We're getting into a pivot here. We're gonna break out this pennant. We're gonna figure out which way to go. I'm not liking this. I want to see Tesla numbers, but you saw the China numbers. They were terrible. And then we'll see if they come out. All right. Trump now says that, and I'll just post this all. This is what he's saying. on Truth Social. We'll post it at the bottom. It'll scroll across the banner because it's kind of long there for everybody. There you go. And he says that Japan has agreed to buy billions of dollars worth of military equipment. Okay. There you go. There you go. So, you think Japan's going to buy billions of dollars worth of military equipment for the United States? They said they are. Okay, Trump says they are. Okay, I don't believe it. Sorry, I don't believe it. I mean, they may buy some, they might buy billions, but this is a country that doesn't really need to protect itself, and this is a World War II country, right? That U.S. has our military there still, right? I don't buy this. And Trump is going off right now. He's saying that housing lagging because Powell refuses to lower rates. There is some truth to that. I agree with that. That some people are waiting on to refi their house. Some people are waiting to buy another house, but don't want to because the house they're in is at 3%. So I agree with that. So the housing market is stagnant. Okay, I agree with that. But it's not all Powell's fault, right? We saw a major run in the housing market during the lowered rates, and we saw it during COVID. So now people are just staying in their homes, and that's going up. So no, I think there's a myriad of things going on. And in fact, other things like these new home sales are not happening because these kids aren't getting jobs. So it's a whole thing from the top down. It's not just one little piece, right? It's a whole economic behind it. And to say that it's all one person's fault is absolutely asinine. So, NVIDIA. And I think Bitcoin in and of itself is telling me everything this morning. Yeah, Bitcoin now under the 118 handle again. It's really struggling up there. So, all right, anybody have any stocks out there they want to look at? Let me know. Throw them out at me. Anything that they're interested in, I'm happy to look at for you guys. Howard Lutnick says the Japan deal could be a model for the EU trade deal. Post that up here for everybody to see as well. Could be. 15% seems to be a more reasonable percentage than 50. Remember when it's 50 to 100%? The art of the deal. We don't have to be. The United States is looked up to around the world. It has been for many years, and we're being looked down upon now. So we need to change that philosophy, right? We need to get back to basics. And in order to do that, I think it's going to take some time, I think, at this point. All right, let's get to it. I'm going to look at something here for everybody. There we go. Warner Brothers. All right. So we knew that the Superman movie that came out over the last weekend has been absolutely strong. It's been the strongest movie out there right now, and it's pushed the stock up here. Warner Brothers Discovery, also Shark Week, right? All those kind of fun things. That's when their ads come out. But look here, this happened. So I'm going to pull up. This is from April until July. This was the big run. And I'm going to do the same thing here. April, there you go. Last year, nothing much. Pull up the year before. There you go. There's get to the April there. April down. So I am expecting Warner Brothers to pull back here a bit. You can see here. There you go. See that right there? And that's the consumer. So do we see streaming with Warner Brothers happening as much? No. Did they make their money back with their movie? Yes. But it might be adding to the bottom line here. Now, there is, for me, always in the back end, if you want to think about Warner Brothers, for me, is always about M&A. I think this is a company that could get bought out. Acquisition of Warner Brothers could very easily happen here. Trump says our businesses will make a fortune from Indonesian deal. I don't remember the last time I bought anything from Indonesia. Okay. And if the market is to push higher, then it needs to be done by Mag 7. Now I'm going to take this off. I'm going to pull up a weekly chart of Apple. This is what I'm seeing with Apple, right? That, and I'll draw the charts here for everybody here so they can see it. Oops, sorry. Now I'm going to try to blow that up for everybody. All right. So that's kind of what I'm seeing, and that it's following this line, this trend up here. What am I thinking about this? So yesterday I downloaded on my iPad the latest iOS 26, which is the new Liquid Glass. It's the beta version, developer beta version I have. It looks good. It's cool. All right. And it allows you to move things around. Hey, we already did that at Quasar Markets. We did that 2 years ago. So welcome to the world, Apple. But I will say that this stock is not going anywhere. We're going to need to see something here in order for this to happen. And I'm not seeing that. So, yeah, I'm not really seeing that. All right, got about 2 minutes now to the open. Should be. And silver 39.31 here, still slipping a bit. Gold now back to 3,400 handle, as 34.36 seemed to be 34.32, somewhere around there. I think we got to 44.33.23. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. This is indiscriminate selling of almost everything. This is not just people need money, and I think that's what's happening right now in this market. It's not discriminate about just stocks. I think it's just about everything. All right, we got about 2 minutes here. Krispy Kreme donuts up 42%. GoPro up 71%. It's have these companies changed? No, it's the meme coins and Wall Street bets again. Yeah. But they have a major problem, Krispy Kreme does, and that's the weight loss drugs. People are just not eating donuts anymore. All right, we got about a minute and a half here to go to the open. 118.2 now, back on. President Trump says, I will give up tariff points if I can get them to open up their markets to the United States. There you go. And Hood now 102.10 as another drop here in Hood. I've made it very clear here that I do not see. Look at that. That thing is just telling you everything you need to know. And I like Robinhood. I think what they're doing is great stuff. Wendy's also up 9%. These fast food companies are just, yeah. Yeah. I don't think that those short covering stocks are going to get hold here. I think they'll probably come right back down to earth, as everything else has. Look at GameStop, Jimmy, same thing, right? There's your. All right, we're open. I'm going to pull up a QQQ. All right, I need to. I am looking at Hood right now. Not seeing yeah. 101.75 now on hood, still dropping. 101.66, 101.30. $101 now. Qs are also dropping here. As I've said, be very careful out there. One on 119 again. 101.10. All right. And I think I'm going to sell even more here on hood. Qs are trying to push a little bit here, but I don't think. Oh, there it goes. There it goes. One more little drop there in hood, and we could see a real breakdown of the downside here. Hopefully, you're playing along at home. And Q's slipping a little bit here as Bitcoin cannot get above that 100. It's struggling at the 118 handle. And hood now making a new low of the day. SEC has paused the Bitwise to crypto index fund conversion. Oh, 101.4. Qs are trying to push a little bit here. I am shorting a little bit more hood here. I think that the try there was a little tough. Yeah. Hopefully you're playing at home. Yeah, there we go. Tick now dropping here now down 200. Some buyers stepping into the hood now. I think some of the, but I don't see anything here that I just nothing. President Trump says he will only lower tariffs if a country agrees to open its market, if not much higher tariffs. And we're seeing a little bit of a push here now in the crypto space here. Bitcoin pushing a little bit here, 118 now, one. It is still struggling at that 118 handle, but it's now back above it. Hood now green now. Ouch. It's okay, though. I'm not too worried about it. As there's the drop again. And Bitcoin now, once again, struggling at that 118 handle. There is some sellers at 118 here on Bitcoin and dropping now again. But it is fairly quiet, very muted. It looks like the meme stocks are the ones that are pretty much taking over today. Yeah. 117 got down to 8 now there on Bitcoin. So really struggling up here on the day. So I'm not really seeing much today on these markets. Pretty quiet here. I think we're just waiting on these earnings tonight. Expect a lot of fireworks tonight with Google. All right, Tesla tick down 420 now. As the Q's slipping again. Keeping our eye here on the dollar, 97.57. It is still slipping here. Dollar continues to weaken here. And Bitcoin now dropping here, 117.7. Now I think this could be the low of the early morning session here. Changing now 4.375. Wow, look at those numbers, guys. I appreciate that. Lots of people watching this morning. Texas Instruments still down about 12% here this morning. TXN. I'm going to sell a few more hood here as it just really is struggling up here. Yeah. And Bitcoin now the lows of the morning right now 117.75. Now it's not pushing too much lower here, and it is getting quiet out there. So that's when things start to bother me a little bit. When things get this quiet, things just out of the blue get quiet. No, don't like that. Yeah, there we go. There goes hood again to the downside. Oil 65.22, still struggling there. And now Q's now near the lows of the day here. It's what we do. And I just took my profit on Hood there. Did it right in front of you guys, 100.85. I think that's what I got in at, got out at, yeah. By the cover, I covered that at 100.85 on the nose. So yeah, did it again. Haven't missed one all week yet. So those of you who've been listening and paying attention, just did it right in front of you. It's a quick trade, easy money. As you saw those markets start to turn, and there was no volume to hold it up, boom. That's what I mean by liquidity zones, right? So there was a liquidity zone that was down below. That's where the buyers were, and it went to it. When it couldn't push up, it pushes down. So did it right there in front of everybody. Hope that pays for your day. I know that. I mean, if you had any money on that pays for a year of Quasar Markets. So make sure you sign up and get your account. It's free sign up, and it's only $15 a month. That's why I did it that way, so that we could make it very cheap, so that you can have access to real data. Listen, when you use other companies, when you are a brokerage, right, and you don't pay for those data, you are the product, right? I mean, that's what they're selling. They're selling you to those companies. So don't be the product. Be the company. Be the data. That's what's happening, right? So all right, that was a good trade there. Very nice. Keeping our eye here tied on silver now, 39.40. I still think we'll go to 40, back to $40 sometime today if the meme coins are still going. We know that that's part of them. Silver is. I'm going to pull up the. Let me show you what I mean by the that selling what we just saw in Hood. I'll pull it up for you. There it is, right? This is the hour chart, and there it was. I'm going to pull up a 3-minute chart. Why 3-minute big beat? Because that's what Wall Street uses. Now, all right, this is good learning right here. This is why I took that profit. 1, 2, 3 higher bottoms. Right now, could it drop down again? Yeah, it's probably going to do it, but it's firming up a little bit in the 3-minute chart here. But in the daily chart, it's not showing me that, right? It's still showing me that we know it's probably going to go back below 100 here. That was where we were yesterday. You can see that buy signal there is pretty strong, but the sell signal is still strong, and the volume to the downside. I'll pull that up for you so you can see it a little better. Still to the downside. That's how off-centered that is. So should see some more selling over the next couple of days in Hood. Walmart should be a good indicator of how the average consumer is doing right now, and to me, it's just not showing me anything good. Let's flip a weekly chart. There you go. It just can't seem to handle it, right? I mean, 1, 2. Well, I'll just do the lines for it, make it easier so you can see it. There you go. And we'll do it again. And it should break out. That's the daily. It's a weekly chart, and then the daily chart. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like that these numbers are showing you what you need to see. There you go. Tied it up for you. Let's see if we can break 1,000 views here. We're getting very close. I like that. And Bitcoin still selling off. Yeah. Now 117.5. And Bitcoin still slipping here. 117.3 now. dollar is still weakening 97.55. So the narrative that, oh, the dollar is weakening, so the Bitcoin is going to push up, that's just nonsense to me. And I know that there's been this big run on Ethereum, now back to 3,500. Yesterday, in the last couple of days, Howard and I have been going at it about Solana. Solana, I don't even know how deep it is now. It's now down to 188 now when it got over 200. The dumping is happening. So I just didn't see it here. This is what I mean. When I don't see things like this, it pretty much equates into numbers, right? And there it is, right? So we're seeing it live here. What do I mean by that here? I'm sorry. Pull it up for you. There you go. Yeah. Profit taking is very strong here. I mean, it's this, if you're going to use your charts, make sure you know how to use them, right? Hood back to 101 here. NASDAQ about to go red again. QQQ just went red. And now hood on the lows of the day. Man, this is a quiet morning. All right, we got about 5 minutes now to the close or to the top of the hour here. I am looking at a few things here. Again, we are talking about earnings today, and with earnings coming up tonight, I want to see two things. I want to see the first thing. I want to see guidance, and guidance has not been good on these stocks. And the second thing I want to see in these companies, and I want to see what they're building, what they're doing. Are they putting AI in their system? Are they actually making them more efficient? Unfortunately, how many people are they having to lay off because of AIs replacing them? I think those are some big question marks that I want to see in this earnings season. And I think that one of the places that I've been talking about, I guess two places, and I said this yesterday, that if you're looking for alpha, you're looking to invest, is things that have been beaten up. And I think the first thing we look at is REITs, or the housing market. So if Trump does get his lower rates, the housing market will go up, including REITs themselves, commercial real estate. And I want to look at healthcare. I think healthcare is going to be something it's going to be very big. And there are some stocks out there that I do like. I've talked about that. Merck, Pfizer. These are all been beaten up, and all of a sudden now you're seeing the big firms now saying, "Oh, well, you know what? There's some alpha here. There's some, we haven't been thinking about these companies." Yeah, I know. I've been thinking about them for 2 weeks now, 3 weeks now. I'm glad you're finally catching up. So when I see that tells me that they've been working on it longer than just a few days. So those are kind of the companies that I've been interested in. So yeah. All right. Any other stocks out there that you guys are looking at? Let me know. 101 16 hood. Bitcoin still struggling 117.5 there. Hood could just drop right here. And we're seeing now the Q is starting to hit now again, lows of the day again. Yeah. VXX 4430 now, still not quite there yet. Still not seeing that heavy volume yet that we need to see on these drops. So protect yourselves out there. Make sure that you are protected. I got about 2 minutes now to the top of the hour here. But I think we're starting to see the beginnings of this. I think we're starting to see the beginning. These cracks are now starting to happen. We've had a good run in the markets. And if you are a positive person, then you want to see the markets push higher, right? So it is one of the things that we need to see. And that's one of the things that I needed to see as well. All right. I'm going to bring him in because I think he should take a victory lap on Japan. So this is Steve Flanagan, who is now wearing T-shirts because it's so damn hot down here in Florida, right, Steve? And speaking of hot, let's get right to it, man. Japan, you said it. You said it. In July, we would start to see tariff deals, trade deals, and here we are. So talk to me. Is it what you thought you would see? Are we right on course for you?
Yes, Steve, this is just the, exactly what I had anticipated. Now we've got the UK, Vietnam, Indonesia, Philippines, and this is the big one, Japan. I think the next one we got to look at is watch out for India. I know we're going to get something out of India. It's beneficial for both countries. In the real question, Steve, you've been talking about why the markets are so slow here. Why are we so quiet?
Yeah.
We've got the market is a living and breathing thing. And what have we been doing the entire year have been force-fed snippets, tweets, headlines. And everybody is waiting for the headline to tell me which way to go. And I think that kind of paralysis that we're seeing in the professional institutional world is why all these meme stocks are just going crazy right now, because the retail sector is running the market here. That's going to change because two big things. One, budget. Let's say under the blanket or banner of uncertainty, the budget done, tariffs getting done, and the deadline coming up. So I think we're about ready to see this market begin to go out on its own, except you're at all-time highs. I've been listening to your analysis of the .com, and I think you're absolutely right. There is a number of companies here that are saying, hey, I'm in AI. I've developed this little widget that's going to do this. Yeah, these are going to be some serious concerns. And that's why I think you have to stick to the big guys, because they're the ones that are they're the ones with the capital to invest and move this picture forward.
Now, it's interesting. See, when I made the comparison back to the .com, and you and I lived through the .com for sure. And when some points were made yesterday on Wolf Spaces, that the difference here was that the budget was a little bit different. We had a surplus, right? We had a much different president. I know because I served under that one, and I can tell you I helped work on that budget deal, and we're very proud of, for the first time and since Kennedy, pretty much, that we balanced the budget and had a surplus, which we won't have again in this presidency. But when, I'm seeing some of these cracks, right, where people just, in the early 90s, let's say 89, 90, 91, 92 under Bush, recession was in full-blown measure, right? Clinton came in very powerful, and then the big dot-com bubble, the boom just went nuts over the internet. And it wasn't just the internet itself, but it was also hardware, right? You had to have better hardware, you had to have better computers. Same thing's going on right now, right? You're having a much better access to data, but you need better hardware. I mean, these machines that we have today just aren't keeping up. And so now you need NVIDIA chipsets. We're starting to see the whole thing go over now. Now, I said earlier, like Pets.com and AOL and MCI and, these companies that people don't even know about, Lehman Brothers. And I keep going on and on and on and on, that they're no longer around because they were in the waste of .com. Are we starting to see the same thing in AI, that where these companies are, just because you put AI in your name, your company, you think you're going to explode, and then all of a sudden you're off to the wayside?
I think you're right, Steve. I think unless that company has an integral part that plays to NVIDIA, that plays to an IBM, a Google, right, they will probably, if they're going to go out on their own, I don't think there's much longevity in that. So, I look at a deal like the Japan deal. They're saying, again, it's in the details, but $550 billion to be invested in the U.S., 15% tariff left in place. 90% of the profits will stay in the U.S. Over 100,000 jobs.
All right, so let's get to it. I mean, we as you said earlier, we live by headlines, right? Japan trade pact is a bad deal, says Detroit automakers, according to the Wall Street Journal.
That's because we've given the Japanese a lifeline, and you can see the reaction of the Japanese automakers last night on the.
They were happy.
Yeah, they were very happy. But that's a typical response from a GM that just fell flat in its face with its earnings. Then tagging it into, the U.S. companies are going to have to get more efficient.
Yep.
And by the way, there's a lot of Japanese cars that are produced here in the United States.
Yes.
So,
almost all of them, right? I mean, there's not too many Japanese cars that aren't made here. Nissan's made here. Subaru's made here. Yeah. So, I think that the big three, right? We'll call it the big three as we know it in the old days. General Motors and being the biggest one there, and Ford, and another one. If you've never been to Detroit, for those of you out in the public here, the three headquarters all sit in one little area, right? It's this little area, and they're all there, and you can see the big GM sign, the big Ford sign, and you see the signs, and you realize where you are, that you're in Detroit, and this is Motor City, and all that. But it also sits on the border of Canada.
Yeah,
and we still haven't seen the Canadians come to the table yet. There's still some sad signs here, and the Canadians are looking at us and looking at that big sign of Ford and General Motors. They can see it from across the water over Windsor. Okay, Japan came through. India has not come through. Lutnick says, well, because of Japan might be a good blueprint for the EU, right? We've only got one deal done in a lot of ways, right? We haven't got some of the bigger deals done, and China is still on the outskirts. And I know that we had another issue again with them hacking us, right? So out of all these deals, we get one deal, and yet the market is not telling us that everything's good. In fact, the Qs are now making another low today.
Mm-hmm.
What are you feeling about it coming into? Let's say you're an investor right now. All these things I just said, Steve, to say this. You're an investor. You see the markets at a high, and you're sitting on the sidelines like me. What is the plan for you? What would you be doing? Would you be putting money to work, or would you be sitting on the sidelines and waiting it out to the next tweet and the next headline?
I'd be well, first of all, it's natural human response. You're at the highs, so you sell. You don't buy, because you can see where we've been. You don't know where we're going. So the first thing you do when you're at the high is you sell. What would I be doing as an investor? I'd be looking for any dip to be buying, any correction, because
define correction then for me, because I've said the same thing. I think we'll see a 10% dip. What are you thinking here? I agree with that. Very good point. What do you see as a correction for them to hold out and then to buy?
3 to 5%.
Okay, not that much then. So
Not that
you're not seeing a big pullback then.
No, and what's happening as it pulls back, everybody piles in. Look at yesterday's price action. It started slow, and then as it started to drop, everybody piles in going, we're at the top. It could go a lot lower. And I don't think that's the case. I think you're going to see shallow corrections. Right now, I love following stochastics as a momentum indicator, and everything is at the top. Everything is over. So I have completely stepped back, and I'm looking for my levels. In the dollar index, I think we're around 97.5. We're well below last week's close. The negative sentiment is still permeating throughout the markets as to the U.S. Politically, they look at the U.S. and everybody's uncertain, but the budget was passed. Politically, they look at the U.S. and they say tariffs, these are bad things, but that's 5 tariff deals now. And, don't blow off Indonesia. That's a big one. There's a lot of things. If you pick up shirts, pants, you'll find a lot of these things are made in Indonesia. And it is a huge country across many, many islands, but it's a country that you don't want to just blow off from a historical, what's Indonesia? No, these countries are, getting bigger and bigger, and they're going to be locked into the U.S. now. Some big things that I'm looking at. Why is the dollar so low? Is it engineered down here? Is the Trump administration really pushing for a lower dollar? Because, Steve, you come from the big man himself, Bob Rubin, who talked about a strong dollar. Yeah. And guess what? They got inflation under control, and a strong dollar is huge for our treasury markets. So here's the thing. A lower dollar is really masking the tariff effect. If you've got a 15% tariff or a 10% tariff and the dollar's declined 5%, it's not much of a hit to you. The real question will be when and if, and I do believe it will, the dollar begins to turn. That's when, if production's all in the United States, everybody gets boxed out. And that is the emphasis behind everybody wanting to sign a trade deal. They want to get in before the walls come up. And the walls coming up will be as the dollar begins to strengthen.
Yeah, and I'm just pulling up a couple of things. The obviously Russell Vought was with us at that time, but when you talk about under Clinton administration and the balance of the budget and Bobby Rubin, as we all know, sorry, I should say I've known him a long time. I also would have to say that Alice Rivlin was in there too as well, and I had to bring her up as well. You saw that they were very strong, but as I said earlier and talked about that, a lot of that budget surplus came from the .com era, right? That all that big money coming in. So there is a little bit. So I say look at the similarities between that time period and now, where you have a president who's very budget minded. Clinton was in different ways of getting the budget passed and balanced. Clinton cut back the defense, and obviously Trump is increasing the defense. So what is it that you want to see now with Trump trying to, with the AI side of it, with the crypto and getting some of this tariff money in? Are we on a path to being just like that, a surplus where things are much better and people feel better and they'll invest again?
I'm not going to get, caught up on deficit surplus. What I want to see is the deficit stopping to go up. I want to see it begin to go on a declining path. And I do believe we've only had one budget, right? I think as we get into next year and suddenly get a year under this administration's belt, with the speed at which they're moving, I think it's only positives that are going to come out. And I would like to see the deficit stop increasing. I would like to see us get, we can't be financing a $1 trillion a year, deficit. It falls on the taxpayers.
Right.
So perhaps this tariff revenue, maybe I'd like to see them begin to say, hey, we're paying off the debt. I would just like to see fiscal responsibility a little bit clearer. Because
so you don't feel like you saw that with the big, beautiful bill?
I do. I think that, the way it was scored is not anticipating revenue increases. I think there's enough data out there that supports a lower tax, higher revenue basis. That's why I'm saying I want to see the data as we go forward. I think the pundits are all going to be proven wrong, but right now they rule the day over we're still expanding the deficit. Okay, I want to watch that carefully. I want to see some decisive actions on, okay, now that your tariffs are over past August 1st, and this is the new world order, what are we in the U.S. doing to address our structural long-term problems, such as debt? That's the big one.
So out of everything, you want to see debt coming under at least manageable, right? Not 120% of the GDP. Is that correct?
I want to see it. Yes, exactly, Steve. I want to see it back under, 100%. I'd like to see around 75 or 80% because you can live with a deficit provided you can handle and pay, just like a credit card. You can go out and buy things provided you can make the payments down the road. However you want to do that, that's okay. That's using credit, using, a deficit in your, to your strengths. But at these levels, it's ridiculous that, it's robbing us.
The 20th century military industrial complex says, okay, the United States is going to be the military of the world. We're going to be the backbone and we're going to be the ones that police the world. So you're a country, great. Now buy our bonds. We'll go in debt for you and we'll protect you, but we're going to be the greatest country in the world. That's been that 20th century thinking. But it looks like Trump is trying to change that, right? Where everybody's going to start paying their own bills, NATO, UN, everybody's going to pay their own bills, and we're going to be our own country, and we got to get our own fiscal house in order. Is that what you're thinking he's saying?
Exactly. And Steve, if we get the fiscal house in order, if all that money that's been going out stays here, well, then we should easily be able to get our fiscal house in order. Before, we both have lived through this a number of times. Before the next president or the next administration or the next congressional makeup gets in and decides to go a different way. Mm-hmm. So, yes, Steve, that's the key. I want to see the fiscal house getting in order. And I think that's going to be a key ingredient to my strong dollar. I'm a battered boxer in the corner. I've been hit 100 times here. I still believe that the dollar, when I look at the dollar in a historical basis, we are still at fairly high levels. We're certainly not at the lows that I've seen during my career where the dollar would be considered a big problem. So.
And I'm just going to pull up the DXY here for everybody so they can probably see it. But go.
I still hold to that 94.5, 96 area, that zone. That's the lows. Can we get back down to those levels? It's possible. Yeah, this market is very negative in sentiment. So I wouldn't rule out, another negative play in the dollar. Right now, we're coming off the bounce. The dollar index still has not given us any reason to talk about a continued upside play. Every bounce appears technically right in line to a lower overall dollar sentiment. And, I think that right now I would look for low 97, maybe say 96.80 as a strong support point for this particular downturn here.
And you called in the past, you said 95.50 is definitely the low that you don't think it'll get to. And you've been right on that. It's been holding above this. But the dollar in general has been pushing up throughout the last, at least since 2007. Yep. And we've had a pretty strong dollar. So is the president today calling for 3 full points of lowering the rates. Whew.
That's pie in the sky. That's just not going to happen.
Yeah, because that's what I said today too. All right. But what do you think we're going to turn here? I mean, it seems to be the dollar seems to be fairly weak here.
The dollar is weak, has been weak since February, I believe, February 7th in particular. So I'm watching it. I thought we would turn end of June and middle of July. It's not turning. We pushed the deadline back from July 9th to August 1st. So, I'm of the opinion, if you're an investor, you're not adding to a dollar short position here. Why? Because it's 4.25%.
Right.
And if you're buying another currency, what are you buying? The euro? Okay, that's a 2% currency. With the ECB on Thursday, doubt they're going to cut again, but there's real good economic reason for Europe to begin to cut rates. They're not really blowing the cover off, here in growth. They're beginning to come from an anemic growth rate and showing positives, but they're still not got longevity. They're going to be issuing their what do they call a monetary policy statement, which is going to show the trajectory of interest rates in Europe. So you could begin to see something tomorrow when that comes out. If they begin to show a trajectory of lower interest rates and you're holding a euro, you have to finance that against a short dollar, and that's an expensive trade. So if the dollar is not making momentum to the downside, that's when it turns fast because it's too expensive to finance.
All right. Final thoughts here, Steve, before I let you go.
Yeah, I think this is going to be an interesting week, Steve. I do believe you're going to have another big agreement coming out.
Talk to me, Steve. Which country?
Yeah, Steve, I'm really, I'm hoping that India, because that's one that nobody's talking about, and yet Modi and Trump seem to see eye to eye with one another.
Yeah.
I think that the reason they're holding off on India is because that could be upsetting to China. And we do know Besant is meeting next week, round 3 with China in Stockholm. So, maybe they're holding off on India. That could already be a done and dusted deal. And let's see what happens, because if India comes out with a powerful agreement in the U.S., that's going to, put a lot of pressure on China. And I don't think the United States, they're clever poker players here. I don't think they want to drop those cards on the table.
All right, Steve Flanagan, man, do you know what we did today? We hit an all-time high on viewership today. I appreciate everybody out there. Steve Flanagan, I will see you right back here on Friday.
Okay, Steve.
I don't see the skin glowing just yet, so get out there, get some Florida sun, my man.
All right, and I promise I'll get the T-shirts off and my shirts back on once they arrive.
I love it, Steve Flanagan. Thank you so much. For those of you who don't know, Steve Flanagan was the head of the desk for currency for JP Morgan, Forex for many years. And I appreciate his knowledge, because that's what we need here in these markets as we go through the summer here. All right, for all of us here at Quasar Markets, thank you so much. I appreciate everybody out there. Thank you. We'll see you right back here tomorrow.